Okay, I would like to call the Orange Board of Education meeting to order on Tuesday, January 17th, 2023 at 7:02. Can we all stand for the pledge, please? Mrs. James, would you be kind enough to read the mission statement?
Of course. The Orange Elementary School District recognizes that the education of each child is the shared responsibility of every member of our community. Our goal is to inspire and empower each student to achieve academic excellence, embrace social and individual responsibility, and lead with integrity. We believe all individuals should be valued and treated with respect. Together, we will make a difference.
Thank you very much. Do we have any public participation? No? Very well. Consent agenda. I will be looking for a motion to accept the items under the consent agenda. The items are the minutes from the December 19th, 2022 Board of Education meeting. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes? Betty, second. Susan? Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Good. We will move on to Superintendent's report. Dr. Scarpetti?
Good evening, Mr. Kraut, and to the entire board members. I hope you and your families and everyone watching had a safe and enjoyable New Year. I'd like to begin by thanking our custodial staff, the supervisor of our custodians, and Mr. Gray, the director of our business and operations, for preparing our schools while we were on break. I think it's important to note that our intent is not only to keep our schools clean, but especially what we've had to contend with the last few years with COVID. We want to keep it safe and healthy, and we keep on focusing on that for all that enter. In addition, I want to send a quick thanks out to Donnie Foyer again. He is a crucial element, an integral part, especially when we have bad weather. As some of you may recall, the Friday before our break, we had to cancel school because of the storm that arrived and some trees falling down and some limbs falling down. Again, that starts early in the morning, those conversations. We thought we were going to be able to get students in, but then all of a sudden, we received some calls from our bus drivers with some issues that were going on. But just to extend thanks to our bus drivers and Donnie Foyer and his team. And just a note, the last day of school is now Monday, June 12th. Last week, the BOA superintendents met with State Senator Maroney and our state reps of our towns to discuss and point out concerns regarding recent public acts that impact our school, which are also unfunded mandates. One of them being is the waiver that we're doing for our reading program. We shared our concerns with what was shared in that act. We want to extend a thanks to them for their time in listening and appreciate anything that they could speak on our behalf. Another public act that we will mention and will be a part of our Building and Grounds Subcommittee meeting that will be held on the 23rd is a uniform inspection and evaluation of school HVAC systems. Again, this was brought about quickly and has to be done by January 1st, which will impact our budget and will be discussed more thoroughly at our subcommittee meeting. Currently, we also have begun our open enrollment for kindergarten, and as of today, we have 89 students enrolled. On a side note, not to confuse the enrollment, but we also do a survey to our preschool and daycares, and we have projected 114 students that will come from our daycare, preschools, and even our current preschool. But currently, right now, we have 89 students enrolled. And as shared at our last board meeting, the preschool lottery has been on the district webpage since December and has been posted in our local newspapers. Families are able to call the Special Services Department until 4 p.m. on January 27th and those families will be notified if their child has received placement around the second week of February. I would like to thank the Capital Planning Committee, led by Mr. Oakenquist, for their time and collaboration. Mr. Gray and I presented to them on December 8th. Mr. Oakenquist will present to the Board of Finance on Friday, February 3rd. As always, we appreciate everything the Capital Planning Committee, Board of Finance, Selectmen, and First Selectman does to assist our school community. And lastly, as we proceed with the budget process for the 2023-2024 year, the next phase will be the budget workshops. Our first budget workshop will be held on Thursday, January 26th. At that meeting, we'll discuss our second budget workshop, and look forward to seeing all of you there on Thursday, January 26th. And again, Happy New Year. We wish you all the best in 2023, to all of our board members and to all our family, staff in Orange. And that ends my report, Mr. Crowe.
Any questions for Dr. Scarpetti? Thank you, Doctor. Mr. Gray?
Good evening, everyone. I'll start with our finance update, and I'll begin with grants. We still have 3 active grants. ARP ESSER 3, which is the American Rescue Plan Elementary Secondary School Emergency Relief Funds. This grant was an allocation of $326,000 for the district. To date, we've spent $208,000 of that grant, and we have $117,000 remaining in that grant. We have until September 30th of 2024 to expend the rest of that money. And there are plans for that, for salaries, services, and supplies for summer learning programs that we've already expended, and then some continuing work with closing gaps for students as well. We also have our American Rescue Plan IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, 611 and 619 grant. The allocation to the district was $72,921. To date, we've expended $57,760 of that grant, with $15,161 remaining. That grant needs to be spent down by the end of this school year, and again, there are plans for that. And finally, we have the Elementary Secondary Schools Emergency Relief Fund, ESSER 2 Special Education. Allocation was $60,200. We've expended $46,155, with $14,045 remaining to be spent by the end of this school year. Our budget, as Dr. Scarpetti said, we're in the thick of the budget process. All the meetings with department heads have all been completed. Information has been added to our consolidated budget for presentation to the full board. And as noted, the first budget workshop with the board will take place next Thursday, January 26th. Food services. As you'll recall, we received the school meals assistance revenue for transition SMART funds back in September. Our allocation, our original allocation was $193,000, $193,527. This was to be used to provide free lunches for all students for a certain amount of time during the school year until those funds were spent down. That happened on January 4th, the second day back from the break. We expended all of those funds. They were exhausted. We started charging January 5th for school lunches. Right now, the current lunch price is $3.05, which is the same price that it was before the pandemic struck. So we're lucky that there was a waiver provided in the National School Lunch Program where we did not have to increase our prices, so the prices have remained the same this year. A reduced lunch price is 40 cents, and a milk, if a child decides to purchase a milk on its own, is 60 cents. Letters went home to families who automatically qualified for free and reduced lunches. Any families that feel that they may qualify for a free and reduced lunch should visit the Orange website, oess.org. They can click on departments and then click on food service, and the application is right there. There's also a 16-minute video from the CSDE that walks people through how to fill out that application. So we're still accepting those applications, and that's ongoing throughout the year because people's circumstances may change during the year. Anytime someone feels they may qualify, they should put in an application for that. And that concludes the finance portion of my report.
Any questions for Mr. Gray on finance? Go ahead, Tatiana.
Hi, Mr. Gray.
Hi.
This might be somewhat unrelated, but if someone puts money, a parent puts money into their RevTrak account, that money runs out, would they be notified via email in order to replenish that
So
account?
once it gets to zero and it starts to run over, then they get notified. So I would suggest parents probably just keep an eye on it.
Check on it,
Check
yeah.
on it every once in a while, maybe make it a habit of checking it once a week to see what's in there, to know when they should add more money in. But they do get notified once it starts to run over.
Gotcha, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else for Mr. Gray? No? Would you like to do your second report there, Mr. Gray?
Sure, thank you. Facilities update, building maintenance. During the holiday recess, regular preventive maintenance was performed in each of our buildings. These are contracted services that we have throughout the year. One of those services was our inspections of the fire suppression system in our kitchens. So our contractor came in, they do this inspection twice a year to make sure the fire suppression systems in the kitchens are working properly and nothing needs to be repaired. And we were lucky we made it through. Nothing was wrong with those systems and they're working and functioning properly. We also had our sprinkler contractor come in, our fire sprinkler contractor. They come in quarterly to inspect our school fire sprinkler system. And it's similar to the kitchen inspection. They do a test of the school-wide system to make sure that all portions of it are working properly, and that is the case in this fact. There is one school that had one valve that needs to be replaced, so I'm awaiting the quote for that. Shouldn't be very expensive at all. As Dr. Scarpetti mentioned, we did some cleaning during the holiday recess. Custodial staff took advantage of the time to conduct a thorough cleaning of the buildings. They cleaned the windows throughout the buildings and opened them, get the fresh air into the buildings. They power washed all of the restrooms, sanitized the high touch points, and scrubbed and buffed our floor surfaces in our hallways and in our classrooms. Also, as Dr. Scarpetti mentioned, we've completed the capital planning process presentations. The Board of Education plan was submitted to Mr. Okenquist and was presented by Dr. Scarpetti on December 8th. A copy of the plan was provided to our Buildings and Grounds Subcommittee meeting back in November. And I'd like to share just a list of items that were sent to the Capital Planning Committee for the Board of Ed. Replacement of mansard roof shingles at Peck Place School. This is on the back side of the school where the 6th grade addition is. Most of the school has vinyl roofing, vinyl shingles, Cape Cod style shingles on the mansard roof. The 6th grade wing does not, for whatever reason. They have cedar shakes, and the woodpeckers have taken a liking to it, and it's causing some damage, and we're losing some of those cedar shakes, so that was on there. A building generator. We had two options for Mary L. Tracy. One was a large-scale generator at a cost of $175,000, and option B was a smaller-scale generator at a cost of $72,000. Also on this list were the repair of the front steps at Turkey Hill School. For those of you who are familiar with Turkey Hill School, they have a long landing at the front of their building. Those steps are original to the building and are starting to crumble. They're similar to what the steps looked like out here at the Board of Ed before they were repaired. So we'd like to get that done. The HVAC upgrades and air conditioning at all schools, which was it's a well over $4 million project, was on that list as well. And then the final two were school furniture replacement for 4 classrooms in the district at a cost of $100,000. And then hot crack filling in the parking lots of Peck Place, Racebrook School, and Turkey Hill School. We're starting to see some cracks develop in the pavement. We want to get ahead of that before they become much larger. So that was also on the list. Again, the ad hoc committee met on January 12th. We prioritized all of the projects that were sent in from all the departments in town. We go through a process where we prioritize them based on a scoring system that we use. And then, as Dr. Scarpetti said, Mr. Okenquist will then be presenting that to the Board of Finance. And that's my presentation for buildings and maintenance.
Any questions for Mr. Gray on buildings? Go ahead, Betty.
Mr. Gray, when you said you prioritized the capital planning presentation numbers, did you tell us in your priority order, or is that what they do with the priority?
So what I gave you was not in any priority order that I had listed.
Do we
But
have a
what-
priority order?
I had a priority order, yes. It's,
Can you
No,
tell
it's-
us that, or?
this isn't the order, I'm trying to go off of memory. I do have it on another file I can pull up, but I believe the building generator was the number one. The repair of the front steps was number two, the mansard roofing was number three, HVAC, school furniture, and then the hot crack filling was what I presented to them, what Dr. Scarpetti presented to them. But what ends up happening is all the departments in town
Right.
send in what they want.
No, I understand. I just want to know what our priorities
Yeah.
are.
Yeah,
Thank
that's-
you,
That's the order that we had presented in it.
thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else for Mr. Gray? Tatiana?
What are the steps going to run at Turkey Hill? About?
The price that I was quoted was about $31,000. Because it's going to be it's not going to be a full replacement, it would be a
Right.
repair.
So it should be relatively easy and quick to do.
Right.
Thank you.
Tatiana?
Thank you. The HVAC systems, is that, I know Peck Place already has air conditioning system, correct? So would that be to replace that one and also install others in the other schools, new ones in the other schools?
So
or
it
is
would be converting all the schools over to air conditioning.
Okay.
And it would also include some updates to the Peck Place system.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I will say this price does not include any of the electrical work. That would go along with that.
Anyone else for Mr. Gray? Mr. Gray, if you'd be kind enough to perhaps just send that list to the board prior to the budget meeting,
Absolutely.
so that they just can get a chance to review it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Russo?
Good evening. We have 4 curriculum updates this evening. The first is the most exciting. We are so happy to share that Orange was awarded one of the competitive ARP ESSER Innovative Grants. So we are in the process of planning for those sessions for our students. The second is that COGAT makeup tests have been completed and were sent out for scoring, and this is the first year that we will be receiving those scores digitally. The third update has to do with professional learning. This Wednesday, tomorrow, we will focus for our Curriculum Wednesday on the standards that have been prioritized for reporting for the second marking period, which started November 9th and concludes February 24th. It will be a review for our teachers, but those prioritized standards for reporting will be on their radar, and they're going to make sure that we have tasks at the 1.0, 2.0, really 2.0, 3.0, and 4.0 levels for reporting. For professional learning, starting next week, we will have our teachers meet in grade level teams at their school sites to review their math units. So the focus for the professional learning for the content area is math for this month. Next month will be English Language Arts. And finally, as Dr. Scarpetti mentioned, we are working on meeting the criteria based on the guidance of the Connecticut State Department of Education for the submission for that waiver request. And so we are working hard to assemble all that documentation. And that concludes my report.
Any questions for Dr. Russo? Betty?
Congratulations on getting the innovation grant. That's wonderful news. Can you tell us the amount of the grant?
Yes, I can. Okay, so here we go. I just wanted to get the numbers correct. Yep, I have it right here. We will receive $239,549.
Wow. And I think you probably
For
gave us-
each, for 2 years.
For 2 years.
For 2 years.
Is that $239,000 twice or $239 over the 2 years?
No, twice.
Oh, beautiful. That's great.
Yes.
And I think you probably shared something about what sort of ideas you had about what that would do, but if you don't mind repeating that in a, a small repeat.
Sure. Well, we have lots of enriching activities
Right.
in mind and designed, and we also have opportunities for ameliorating some learning gaps that are still residual from the COVID effects.
Right.
So we're pretty much thinking of 2 days for academics and then 2 days a week for enrichment. And so some of those would include drama at the other schools. I know we have drama at Turkey Hill, but there's drama, there are different art opportunities. We really learned so much from summer learning, and so many of those opportunities, the martial arts, the yoga that many students enjoyed, PE, and we will be working in collaboration with 21st Century. So what else do we have? But you know what? We will make sure we have a list of all those.
Well, that's all right. I remembered there was enrichment activities. And
Yes.
so it sounds like there's something for everyone, which is
Oh, yes.
terrific.
Yes, and there will be, approximately 3 to 4 opportunities each of those days, so students can choose, and they'll run in, we haven't decided yet if there'll be 4 to 6 week sessions. It depends on what the activity is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else for Dr. Russo? Tatiana?
Good evening, Dr. Russo. The testing that you referenced early on in your report, is that the STAR testing that parents have been told about, or is that something different?
So these are the cognitive, the COGATs, the cognitive abilities tests, and they are standardized, and they attempt, and I say attempt, to measure quantitative and qualitative and nonverbal potentials for learning. And not that we ever want to pigeonhole anyone into those areas, or rely so much on, once again, one sitting, but we do want to use that information to help us triangulate our data, like the STAR data, and then all the science of reading data like the DIBELS. But you did bring up a good point. We are currently in the midst of our mid-year assessments or universal screens that include STAR. So these are a little bit different, and they're only administered to grades 3 and 5.
Ask that next. Okay. Thank you for clarifying.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Thank you, Dr. Russo. Okay, we will move on to board business. Everyone should have received a assignment sheet for committees, and also an email. Thank you, Cheryl. Very little change, just a couple quick changes. If anyone has any questions or concerns going forward, just because the committees have been set up right now, if you have any concerns or any issues going forward, please contact me. I want to thank Jeff and Susan for their assistance in putting together the committees. And like I said, please contact me in the future if you have any concerns or questions.
Before you go on,
Sure.
sorry, before you go on, I didn't, on the superintendent's report, we show Director of Special Services. Did you have something from Mrs. Ito, or we're skipping that this month?
No, we don't have anything except with what I shared.
Okay, thank you.
So we'll move on to, we have a policy second read, policy 6111, school calendar. Do I have a motion to accept policy 611 as presented? Mr. Zyman, do I have a second? Liz, any questions? All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Policy second read, Policy 5117.1, School Intra-District Choice, Open Enrollment. Do I have a motion to accept Policy 5117.1 as presented?
Yes.
Susan, do I have a second? Tatiana, any discussion on this policy? All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Policy second read, 5141.6, Crisis Response. Do I have a motion to accept Policy 5141.6 as presented to the board? Susan, second. Ronette, any discussion on this policy? All in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Standing committees. Ms. Riccio, Finance.
Finance and Operations Subcommittee met prior to this meeting. Everything, we reviewed all the financials, cafeteria, I have them here, and grants update, as you already heard. And everything was in order. Thank you, Mr. Gray.
Any questions for Ms. Riccio? Very well. Personnel, Transportation, Mrs. Hadlock.
Our committee did not meet over the winter break, and due to the fact that we have the budget meeting next week, I do not have a scheduled meeting for this month. I'll be talking to Dr. Scarpetti and preparing to have a meeting probably before our next meeting in February.
Any questions for Mrs. Hadlock? Okay. Buildings and Grounds, Mr. Cap.
Mr. Gray covered everything. Excellent job. Thank you for that. And we will be meeting as a subcommittee meeting on Monday, the 23rd at 5 o'clock.
Any questions for Mr. Cap? Well, the moment we've all been waiting for. Took us a little while to get here. Mr. Zyman.
We did not have a meeting either. I was going to reprise November's minutes, but my wife said it was dumb, so. We don't, Betty and I will work out when we'll have the meeting. And
You have no comment about the Giants, Mr. Zyman. I was kind of looking forward to that.
I'm just waiting,
All right, very well. Very good. Ms. Riccio, ACES.
Yes, the ACES Governing Board met last Thursday, January 12th. ACES has been working on a new design plan, making sure that the right things are being offered to our districts and that we're serving the needs. And when something isn't being leveraged or being effectively used, then we need to really take a look at it and say, what should we be doing differently? Should we stop it? Can somebody else do it? Or can we do it differently? So there's a lot of factors to it, and the people who are doing it, ladies are named, I'm sure there's a company, but the two ladies that we've been working with are Fran and Ellen, and they're doing a phenomenal job. They're just like really getting to, there's so many different aspects of ACES to be able to like really talk through all of different programs and schools and how we do certain things. They've been fantastic, so I was impressed. We had the second meeting on January 5th. The final meeting will be on 2/2, and then we will put together our actual design plan from that. We did sell 350 State Street. It used to be PCY was the name of it. We didn't need that space. It wasn't as effective of a use for us. We're going to be staying in for a certain period of time. We're renting back from them because we're modifying some of our other buildings. The director of HR wants to make sure everyone is aware of that ACES is hiring lots of different positions. And so you can just go to aces.org and if you're looking for any kind of position, everything from teachers to behavioral analysts to bus drivers to cafeteria workers, you name it, they're looking for them. So there are quite a few different areas, special schools, magnet schools, service areas. So if you're looking for a job, feel free. ACES won, no, I'm lying to you, not ACES. One of my board members from Waterbury explained that one of their teachers won the Milken Award, which is very, prestigious, so I wanted to congratulate that person from Waterbury. But that was it.
Any questions for Ms. Riccio? Okay, before we adjourn, I don't want to forget, thank you all for your commitment to your committees, especially the chair people of the committees. You do a great job. You spend a lot of time vetting things that we have to do, so I do appreciate it, as do the rest of us. So I'm looking for a motion to adjourn this evening's meeting. Susan, Mr. Ziman, second. Do I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
I just did.
Oh, I just did it, I'm sorry. You're right.
I vote yes.
Got ahead of myself. Susan voted yes twice. You want to try 3 times, sir, Mr. Ziman? I'm sure you would agree. Any discussion on adjourning? All in favor? Opposed? Abstained? We are adjourned at 7:33. Thank you.
I think that's a record.